Mike, I say you're probably fair, okay to go. So
great. Thanks, Brian, and thanks to everybody who's joining us today for the PTC User Technical Committee Open House. The technical committee that we're here to talk about today is ThingWorx. My name is Mike Tresh. I am a ThingWorx product manager. So I'll be representing the ThingWorx product management team. With me on the call, which I will have them maybe give a little bit more if we get through this first section a little bit later, but I'm joined by Chris Baldwin, the Vice President of the ThingWorx platform, and Ankit Newaskar, who is a fellow ThingWorx PM. So today we're talking through the PTC user group, which has been a long-established group, has a long-established relationship with PTC. Today, though, we have an opportunity to add a new technical committee for ThingWorx. And so we're going to try and do some discussion and education around that. I'm going to go through a presentation today. But the idea here is that at some point we will have, interested enough people and perhaps a unique person who steps up and takes over as committee chair for this technical committee. The PTC User Group has, several missions. Their primary mission is to advocate on the behalf of customers. They do this through annual meetings with PTC, through events, and through technical committees and workshops. Some of these events PTC gets invited to, and we have representation there. We will do the same from the ThingWorx team and join in however we can be useful with the PTC User Group. So their mission is really three things. It's to educate so that everyone who uses the products from PTC has a thorough education in the use of the product, anything that new that's coming along. They also advocate on behalf of the customer and the user. And that advocacy will take shape in several ways, and I'll discuss that in a moment. And then finally, support. There's a lot of support around this group and as it interacts with PTC and the general community. There's several ways that support is provided by PTC User. So, for example, how does PTC User advocate? They have meetings with our PTC executives and spend time going through issues, plans, roadmaps, resolutions, etc. They do it through working groups, working together with like-minded individuals who are working on a PTC product, in this case ThingWorx, to come up with creative and new solutions for problems that an individual might have, but collectively a solution can be found when working together. They have events. We attend the events as a company, and we will attend events in the future as a ThingWorx product team. And through technical committees, one of which is what we're discussing today. And the technical committee will be owned by a chairperson, and that chairperson will drive an awful lot of the work that goes into the support of the three missions for PTC User. These technical committees offer several things. First and foremost is the voice of the customer, you, the user community. You have an opportunity to work with the PTC product managers and to improve the software. This is a direct connection to the product management team, and we take our role quite seriously. We look at this as a way for us to gain, experienced users with problems that need to be solved, and provides us with opportunities to understand exactly, you know, what the users are seeing, and then how we might be able to improve. We have also the need to identify and feed the working groups. So, you know, the technical committee is the overseer for making sure that we've got working groups, that they're well fed and taken care of, and that they truly represent the voice of the customer and provide that mechanism. They also help fulfill other aspects of the mission for educate, advocate, support. They'll present webinars. They'll answer questions. Again, in the whole gamut from technical to you know, new features that are coming out. They own and manage the agenda for the PTC User in-person events. They influence the ThingWorx agenda and more. So each technical committee is led by a technical committee chairperson. Everyone is helped and everyone's involved. So it's not just a one-person responsibility. The committee members and PTC all join together to make this a successful user group. Together, we build the agenda, facilitate conversations. We involve other committees as appropriate, and as the PTC products become more of an approach or a solution to set of problems, more and more of PTC's products become kind of involved. So having conversations and having that avenue is going to be proved to be very important, and will have growing importance. The TC chair will identify areas where the working groups make sense. So if there's an area, let's say maybe it's specifically on, in ThingWorx case, you know, one of the main features like Composer, perhaps there's a working group for developers that's set up, and those developers share their experiences using ThingWorx, specifically Composer. And they're also responsible for communicating, you know, broadly across the technical committee. And this person is supported by the PTC User Board of Directors. So there's just lots of ways that this role is supported from PTC's point of view, through the community, and especially through the PTC User Board of Directors. So let's talk through some of the tools used by these technical committees. So the PTC User Portal, which is a website that presents an awful lot of information and a lot of different activities that you can participate. You can find it at ptcuser.org. You can join the group. You can join a technical committee. You can join a RUG. You can do an awful lot of things. And some of the activities include, you know, communication, file storage, and just as a matter of course, anything that's not in place, this portal is constantly getting updated and modernized, so that as new products come in from PTC, they're included in the site. As new technologies or new needs are coming in from the community at large, this site gets updated as well. Now, the second area that you can log into is at ptc.com. There's a PTC community, and there are some of the working group activities get hosted there. The idea there is to make sure that there is a good, you know, kind of understanding of other customer issues that PTC has generated from its community site, so that those ideas and perhaps those problems and the solutions can be shared against, you know, multiple communities, both from the PTC point of view, especially from the PTC user group point of view. So we've got a list of the current technical committees. As you can see, I've got ThingWorx highlighted in bold. That's the one that we're specifically looking for. ThingWorx Navigate is bolded too, but there's another technical committee for that. I'm just kind of bumping that up a little bit for awareness, but we're focused right now on finding a chairperson for the ThingWorx TC. Some examples of what we get into. This is a ThingWorx What's New. Obviously, sharing of ideas, sharing of new features that come out from the ThingWorx team, bringing that to the technical committee, making sure that there's a good understanding of what's going on, that there's a more direct access to the product management team, etc. But the focus here is clearly that there is a good working relationship between the two groups. So I've got a couple of important and helpful emails. The director of our technical committees is Frank Streifler. That's his email there. The director of working groups is Maya Carruthers. And the PTC user president is Marky Quaritch. If you've got any other questions, those are the three people that I would reach out to. I've got myself included there just as a person from PTC. And if you have questions on the portal, you can contact Dan or Preeti. And then the PTC side, our community site manager is Jamie Lee Button. So with that takes me to the end of this quick introductory session. I think we can open this up and have a more broad and general discussion. I would certainly be happy to answer any questions that you might have, and we could take it from there. So let me turn it over to anyone on the call who would like to step up and start a discussion.
Hey, Mike, this is Chris Baldwin.
Hey, Chris.
So you mentioned earlier, I'm the VP of Product Management for the ThingWorx platform. To me, this is an exciting opportunity to form a community and a close relationship with the product team and the community of ThingWorx users and developers and administrators. So, for my team, this group would provide a lot of feedback into areas that are, going well, maybe areas that we need to look at for improvement. But I think the level of, and we would also share with this group, roadmap and previews and be part of like beta programs and such to, again, provide product feedback to us, but also as a, as a benefit of being in this community and you would also have advanced, notice and awareness and opportunity to provide feedback on our products and our releases and features. And then I think there's, clear benefit also within the community itself of, where, birds of a feather, if you will, where, people are encountering problems, maybe someone else has seen this, they know how to fix it. There's an element of community and working within the user group to help each other out and find different, good paths to the platform as you're implementing and sharing in that. So, from my perspective, this is a very critical group, and I know it's done a really great things in other areas of PTC, and so we're, as a product team, very excited to kick this off at LiveWorx.
So Chris, how often do you think that, as a product management team, we could use feedback from users?
I think I would say almost every day we're doing different aspects of our job that require input from customers and partners. So that feedback comes in all forms, whether it's phone conversations or meetings or community posts or support tickets, whatever the case might be. I'll also say I had the opportunity to join. I wasn't able to make it this past year, but in the past, the PTC user events are usually in very cool locations in January, and it's good to get everybody together and again, look at some of the future of the product and sharing some of our experiences around ThingWorx and IoT. And, so those are great events that obviously we join at LiveWorx. You can see here again in San Diego, coming up later on in 2021. So from that regard, it's a cool group to be a part of and sharing that community of around ThingWorx and all PTC products, really.
That's right. And Chris and I believe Ankit, you've also attended, correct?
Yeah, I was part of this was my first PTC user forum last year, so earlier this year basically, and it was pretty amazing experience for me, especially to look at the other product areas like PLM, Windchill, and the ThingWorx Navigate. I especially remember ThingWorx Navigate almost like a day-long session where it was such an engaged session and more value from just hearing from product managers of ThingWorx Navigate. It was also interesting to see how different customers were talking to each other and trying to brainstorm a solution right there. So I could almost, if I was a ThingWorx Navigate product manager right there, I could almost write my feature specs down right there. So that was pretty epic.
That's great. That is very useful. Yes. Marky, hi.
Hi, Mike. This is Marky Quaritch. I'm the president of PTC User, and I just kind of want to thank you for what you're doing here today, introducing this, and let everybody know that we are very excited to introduce this as a new technical committee. So we've had technical committees in the CAD space, in the PLM space for 30 years, but we haven't had anything in this IoT space before. So this is brand new. And I can understand if it's kind of confusing and overwhelming to most people, but it's a model that we think you'll find very effective for having your voice heard with PTC. As you can see, they're all here today and they're listening and they want to engage with you. What we found is a very effective model is for these committees to have monthly virtual calls with PTC. And it's kind of a sharing call. Usually one person will do what we call a member brief, where you just do a very, very short one-slide overview of what you're doing with the product, how it's going, and what's maybe what you need help with or what you would like to see improved. And then that conversation spins off into what he mentioned as working groups, where people, work together and decide, well, if the product only did this and you really talk through that and figure it out, then PTC has what they need to go make it happen and delight the customer. So would strongly encourage everyone who has an interest to go to ptcuser.org, find the ThingWorx Technical Committee. You have to have a login, but that's free, easy to create, and join that committee, which gets you on the list so that you'll be invited to all these meetings and have your opportunity to have your voice heard. So that's really what I wanted to add. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Actually, I was wondering if you could also share, maybe I missed it at the beginning, but just a little bit more about PTC User, that it's not a PTC function, that it's all led by users of
yes.
products that, and it's not a sales pitch. I think it'd be good to introduce the community to that as well.
It is, and so myself, I work for Raytheon. I guess we're now Raytheon Technologies. We just combined. So we're a longtime PTC customer, and the rest of the board, there's members from Solar Turbines, Xylem, Lockheed Martin, Honeywell, Harley Davidson was represented, retail, we have Levi Strauss, Johnson & Johnson. So we're from PTC's customer base, and it doesn't have to be a big name company. Actually, this is, if you're from a small company, and this is your opportunity to join and have your voice heard, just like you have a dedicated salesman to listen to you. This is your opportunity to really be heard, regardless of the size of company you're coming from. And so, the organization originated over 30 years ago, and it was customer driven so that we could stand together as a united voice and help to kind of prioritize improvements that mean the most as a customer. And so it helps PTC with their planning because they get a clear direction as to what's most important and most impactful for their customer base as a whole. So that's a good answer.
That's a good answer. Thanks, Marky. Okay, so are there any questions? Anyone that's joined the call today? Do you have any questions, any thoughts?
It might be good if, PTC, from your perspective, if you could share, like, what are some of the specific topics that you'd like to get feedback on immediately that might help people know what to expect?
Sure. So, I mean, from my perspective, again, this is Chris. I'll give an example. I think at the last PTC User conference that I was at, I think it was in Charleston, and what some of the group that I was talking to there was, really looking for certain productivity enhancements in Mashup Builder and Composer. One of them happened to be undo redo, and then I heard more of that feedback also later in the year at ThingWorx, and now I'm happy to report that that's actually in the 9.0 release. So I would say, from my own personal perspective, I look after a lot of the developer tools and processes and workflows in the platform. We've just introduced Solution Central. It's another big part of our developer experience and productivity set. And I think feedback for me there on our tool set and the ways you would like to work, or comparisons to other tools and products you work, that I think that's a huge benefit for me personally. We also have, in terms of edge connectivity for devices and systems, we have some great new programs that we're starting up around the next generation of our Edge and Edge Agent and some management tools there. So we have tremendous opportunity to influence the future of connectivity for the platform. We would love to talk more about what's working there in our current suite and where you'd like to go from that perspective. We have also a number of different solutions that we're looking at for both manufacturing and connected products for service. And so we're definitely looking for feedback and influence on if those applications themselves, or maybe we have this concept around what we call building blocks, where portions of those applications can also be kind of reused. It's a way to kind of speed development and reuse the common patterns within the platform that we've seen from interacting with customers for, representing work orders or alarms and events or some of these things within an application. So I think more feedback and even maybe community contribution to, even code in some ways potentially would be interesting for us. There's administration and deployment aspects that we'd be interested in hearing about in terms of within your organizations, how you're leveraging containers and orchestration engines, and whether you're in the cloud or on premise, as our systems grow in terms of their size and responsibility, and the technology improves, how we can grow the platform in that regard. I think for us, anything's fair game. It is a user-driven community, and so we would take the topics that are important to this group very seriously and work with you on fleshing out those requirements and giving you early access to the prototypes and the demos and the mock-ups, et cetera, to make sure that we're hitting the mark. So I gave a few examples there, but the platform's pretty expansive. There's plenty to talk about and do, I think.
Well, sounds great. From what you've heard, is anybody interested in joining the committee so far? You could respond with a raising of hand or a verbal response.
Maybe what maybe would be a good idea is maybe we just host maybe another open meeting, kind of going through some of these topics, within, some of the invitees here, if you'd like to attend, and just see what it's about, how it goes, and figure out how you want to be involved, or if you want to take a leadership position. I think I'd be open to that if we want to do pick a topic that's of interest and work through it within a pilot session.
That sounds good.
Okay, so we'll take one more stab at this. Remember, there's no, just if you speak today, you're not committing yourself to anything. We certainly are just trying to, raise awareness. This is a new group, and we brought everyone together to see if we could, talk through it, answer any questions that might come up. Again, there's no commitment. If you've got something you'd like to put out there, if you've got a question about how this might work with Margie and Chris and myself, got good representation here. So I'll give you one more minute to raise your hand up.
Hey, this is Robert from Los Alamos. So interested in continuing on with the committee and where you guys are going, and certainly would like to participate. Not in leadership at this time, but between ThingWorx and Navigate and PLM, those committees are our biggest interest, and we definitely want to participate in ways that we can.
Okay, yeah, that's fantastic. Again, that's a good starting point. I think that's the best way to approach this, is join the committee, and you'll have a chance to be involved, see how it goes. There's not necessarily a commitment on your part, Robert, for stepping up and leading the thing, but being on the committee is a great first step. So I appreciate your comment.
Mike, this is Brian. I know I have a couple guys from Toro that I'll get in the committee for sure. So that have a pretty vested interest in this. So.
All right, I feel like I need a tote board behind me.
Yes, hi, my name is Rich. I work for SWM. I'm interested. Is there a way you can send us a link or something after the meeting so we could get going with next steps?
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll take care of that. If it's not from myself, I'll share I work out with Margie and the PTC user group, but we'll get the information to you.
Great, thank you.
Definitely for anybody who's on, if you go to ptcuser.org, so ptcuser.org, you'll have to create a login, and then there's a TC section for technical committee. And you'll find the ThingWorx committee in the list, and you just hit request to join, and that gets you on the list. Hopefully we'll be able to follow up with a list of emails from everybody registered, but just in case, I wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, and Margie and Mike, it looks like in the chat there's a few people that have volunteered as well. So before we close down the Zoom, we should take note of those.
Okay, anything else? I think it was a good call today. We had some good conversation. I think we've presented, you know, the request of this team. Please take the action of joining the PTC User Technical Committee. We'd really appreciate the support. If there are any other additional questions or anything that comes up, I will put the emails back up. If you want to take note of those, please feel free to reach out to anyone on this list, and we will absolutely make sure you're taken care of. Any questions are answered, etc. So, is there anything else before I close this down? Brian, Margie, anything on your side?
No, just thanks.
No, I think
thanks.
you've done a great job.
Yep, exactly.
All right, fantastic. All right, well, let's give everyone a few minutes of their day back. Again, let us know what we can do to help, and we look forward to working with PTC User, the community, our users, and our partners, and the product team all together. So with that, let me say thank you. I appreciate your time, and everyone have a great day.
You as well. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike, I think you can stop recording, or you can make me the host again if you want, or.